Hi everyone, it's Joy here, and I am super excited to be sharing a limited edition stamp set for STAMPtember. This is Honeybee Stamps Be a Sunflower stamp set, and it is super cute, you guys. So you have all this row of all of those beautiful sunflowers, and then you have quite a few sentiments, and they are just darling. Now I will be making 3 cards with this stamp set. They're all going to be fairly similar in the design, but just different colors and a few different coloring mediums. So I am doing the direct to paper inking technique. So I am using peeled paint, mustard seed, wild honey, spiced marmalade, and rusty hinge for this first card. And so as you can see, I am just rubbing my little ink cube across the paper, slightly overlapping the color before it. Now, you can do this really light, which I will show you on the very last card panel that I'm going to do. You can go medium, you can go heavy. What I love about this technique, depending on how you lay down the ink, it really makes your paper look like it's textured. So I'm going to be finishing here with the rusty hinge, and I kind of like this red orange kind of a color, and I think it's really pretty next to the spiced marmalade. But see how it gives it a texture look? So I'm going to put that aside to dry and work on the second card. This I'm going to be using ice spruce, speckled egg, mustard seed, spiced marmalade, and rusty hinge. Now, what I'm doing differently here is just going in different directions and letting it overlap. I also, for these next 2 cards, am kind of stepping out of the norm for fall color combinations. I did look up online some fun fall color combinations with blue because I really love blue, and I think that when you throw that in with some yellows and oranges, it is really, really pretty. So I'm just going in with all of my colors and just slightly overlapping some of the other colors, letting it blend in, and that really kind of gives you a very interesting background. And this one looks like the texture is kind of all over the place. And once the ink dries and kind of soaks in, the color seems a little more even. So I just love that background. I think it's super pretty. Now this one, I'm going to go very light. I'm actually going to start with black soot, and I'm just going to do a little bit. And you can probably even see that my hand, the way it's moving, is a little bit lighter. I'm just barely brushing the bottom. Then I'm going to come in with weathered wood, squeezed lemonade, mustard seed, and carved pumpkin will be the last one to finish off. This is actually, I think, my favorite background, but I love all of them. So I'm just going to finish lightly going with my little ink pads, going over each other, again, lightly, just slightly overlapping the color before it. And I just love how this turned out. So once I get done with this, we are going to do the stamping of this Be a Sunflower stamp on all of these card panels. I'm going to do, the stamping and position is going to be the same, but I'm going to do the techniques a little bit differently. For this first background that we did, I love this. To me, this is like traditional, and I thought because it's kind of a darker background, I wanted to come in with some black ink and stamp this up. Now, I am going to do a little bit of Copic coloring, but I mean easy Copic coloring, but you could leave that step out and this card would still be just as beautiful because I did line up the green and the yellow at the bottom. But I'm going to do a little bit of Copic coloring, like I said. For this next card, I'm going to be doing some gold embossing. I thought the gold with this really light background would be really, really pretty. So I'm inking that up with VersaMark ink. I did prep my paper with a powder tool, stamped it with VersaMark ink 3 times, and I did that because the centers of the sunflowers, I really wanted to make sure I got a good stamped image. So then I'm just going to heat that with my heat tool and melt it until it's nice and shiny. Then the next one, or the last one, I'm going to do some white heat embossing. So again, prepping that with my powder tool, coming in with my VersaMark ink, getting a really good stamped image, sprinkling on the white embossing powder, and then I'm going to heat that until it's melted. So that gives us 3 different backgrounds, and even though the stamp is in the same spot on all the cards, it has 3 different looks to it. So now here is the Copic coloring that I'm going to be doing. And again, I kept this super, super simple. So I'm using Y08 and 19. I did do 2 different colors of yellow on these sunflowers just so it would look a little bit different. What I liked about this is that you could also see the texture of the ink through these images. I'm also going to come in and use G29 and 46. I'm laying down the lightest color. Then I will come back in and add the veins with the darker green just to give it a little bit of something extra. I am not worried about doing shading or anything like that. I really wanted this to stay very, very simple. I'm going to add E59 to the centers of the sunflowers, and that image is done, and I think it's super, super cute. And I love that you could color over those inks. Now for the white embossed one, I am using some colored pencils. I'm just using a yellow and a green, even simpler. But like I said, if you didn't want to color any of these images, you could absolutely leave it how it is. I liked coloring this one especially because I feel like it really did pop off of the background. And the same thing when you're coloring, it's blending with the ink colors behind it, which is kind of giving it some variation in the colors of leaves and sunflowers, and I really liked that look. So I have that panel back in my MISTI, and I'm going to do this first card with white heat embossing because I just thought the white would be really beautiful against that orange and yellow background. The other two cards, I am just going to use black ink for the sentiment. That first sentiment says, stand close to people who feel like sunshine. This next one says, sending you a little bit of sunshine. And the last one is going to say, shine like a sunflower. I think all of those are super cute sentiments. Now, all of these have a matte behind it. This first card is going to have a black matte. Now, being this is a one layer card, I really love dimension on my cards, so I'm going to have the card panel have dimension. So it has a black mask, then I'm going to, a black matte, excuse me, and I'm going to adhere that to a white A2 size card panel. This next card is going to have a gold mirror cardstock matte, and I'm going to do the same thing with the foam tape behind it to give that panel some dimension. Then the very last card is going to have a white matte. I like white on white. I think that's actually really pretty. So rather than just adhering this card panel to a white card base, adding that card panel to a white card or a white matte and then to your white card base does really change the look of it. So I'm going to adhere that down, and then I'm going to come in with my favorite tree hugger wooden hearts and add 3 of those to each one of the cards and just a little bit of a different layout. Being that these cards are very similar, I feel like this is where you can kind of get away with doing something a little bit different. I'm just using my tweezers to kind of push those into place using my liquid glue and placing those down. I feel like the wooden hearts are super cute for this because it's that nice kind of it's the wood, it's the warm browns, which I think goes really good obviously with fall. So I love how these all turned out. I just really love this direct to paper technique. I think you get some really beautiful and different backgrounds, and it's easy to use with a stamp set like this. You can make some quick and easy cards. I will have everything listed and linked below that I used for this project. So you definitely can click there to get it, but I am super excited to be part of this STAMPtember release, and I hope that you enjoyed these projects. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe to my channel, comment, share, thumbs up. That really does help me to get further with YouTube, so I really, really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a wonderful night, and I will see you soon. Bye.